Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel again. So in this part 2 of the power generation project, we are going to set up the orchestration tool wherein we'll write those script to load the data, transform the data and export the data. So these are the three Python code that we have to write, and before that we'll see what is our data source, where we are storing it, and actually how we are transforming it. So till the last video we have seen like how exactly to set up a virtual environment, so that piece is done. So now what we'll do is to set up our once we are inside our virtual environment, as you can see in the front. So what we have to do is we have to start and create a new Mage project. So if you see, I already have a project that I created called new project. That is the Mage project that I have been using. So I just have to either you have to do one thing. If you want to create a new project, so you have to write Mage, because Mage is the simple command, and once after installing pip install Mage AI, you have to write this command Mage init and then a project name. So for my project name was new project. So if I new project, so if I press enter, it will create a new project called new project. The name itself is a new project, but I would suggest you to give more intuitive name to this sort of project. So but right now we have this project already been created here, this called as new project. So to launch this new project, what we have to do is we have to just write Mage start our project name. So our project name is new project. So if I press enter, so now in this just let's give some couple of seconds. It is starting our new project, and before the time it's starting, just to let you know guys, it will start on a port of 6789. So this is the other thing. And basically for the data sets, till the time it's starting, so I will talk more about the data sets. So let me go inside the data. So I have created a readme file here. Okay, it has been started. Okay, let it start till the time. So this is the data set that we are going to use. So this is solar power generation data, and it has 4 different CSV data sources, where the first is for plant 1. Plant 1 has 2 files, and plant 2 has 2 files. The first data is for generation data, and the second is for weather sensor data. To read more about it, you can come here and read the description here. So they have a well defined description of each of them, what its source key, what is date time. So anyway, while we are writing a Python code, we'll learn more about this also. So this is one piece of it. I think, yeah, we can close this piece. Yeah, so before directly jumping into pipeline, let me show you how exactly the notebooks and other things gonna look like. So let me go inside my Python script. So okay, let's minimize this a bit. Okay, so now if you see what we have to write those script inside our functions, I would say, within the Mage AI. But before starting it directly writing anything there, what we can do is we can simply do all sort of transformation within our Jupyter notebook, and once that is done, we can just copy paste the code there itself. So that won't take so much time. So if you want to run Jupyter notebook inside VS Code, so just an heads up that you can come here and install. There are a lot of something called Jupyter cell tag, or there's something called Jupyter notebook. Let me search it. Jupyter. Okay. Yeah, first one. So this is called Jupyter. So once you install it, so it comes with this four different package extensions. It will install everything, and you will have a Jupyter interface, and it will detect the kernel. So let me check. Okay, I have multiple, but I will use the so if you see, I have multiple things here, but on the star it's showing that it is recommended, because I am inside a virtual environment. So it is recommended for me to use the Python or the pip version or the Python version that has been created for this virtual environment. So I will select this, and this will automatically select Mage project Python 3.6.9 3.9.6, sorry. So the basic transformation that we are doing is the simple. So this is part very simple where we are just reading all the files here. So once that has been done, so you can just see here this description that whatever I have written, you can come to Kaggle here itself, and all the description are the same. So you can read those description from here itself, or what I can do is I am going to push everything into my GitHub anyways, and I will give the link in the description so you guys can go and check it out there. So this is how the data look like, and to be let me show you how it look like. So for the generation data, the first column we have is called date time, plant ID, source key, DC power, AC power, daily yield, and total yield. So these are the columns here. And for the another one, for the sensor data, we have something called date time, we have called plant ID, source key, then ambient temperature, module temperature, and irradiation. So while going forward within the transformation script that we have written here, we'll talk more about it. So just checking how many unique numbers are there in a plant key. So for each plant we will have only one plant key ID. So if you see 41350001, so it is going to be consistent across every time for plant 1 dataset, because plant ID is going to be same for all of them. And source key is nothing but the inverter ID. And if you see, source key is file stand for inverter ID. So there are 22 different inverter IDs are there. Okay. So just for now we are sorting the data by source key and date time. We can mention is it ascending equals to true, and we are resetting the index just so that this index values are consistent across. Once that is done, we are creating those calculated columns. So I would say, let's say I'll put down this entire script in the description so you can go through it also. So if we divide AC power divide by DC power, so we will get inverter efficiency, that efficiency of an inverter in converting DC power to AC power. Similarly, once we group by the date time and then take the sum of the AC power, will give the daily power production of an AC. Similarly for the DC, then we are taking AC performance ratio, then we are taking DC performance ratio, so and then taking the daily incremental yield. So we are just differentiating each of them and taking that how much differentiations are there with respect to yield each day from the previous day. So this is from the dataset 1 that we're talking about. So if you see DF plant 1 gen is the first generation data, and for the sensor data, what we are doing is we are creating something called temperature difference. We are creating daily irradiation total. So these are the basic KPIs that we are creating. Then the simple is we are checking that whether both the time frame that we are using is same or not in both the CSV formats that we have, and it's the same itself. If you see, both the time frame for both of the data sets are same, and we are merging both of the data frame. So for now we just wanted to make sure that everything is on one single data frame, but for your consistency, or I would say if you want to keep it together, if you don't want to keep it together, you can go ahead and transform as you like. So this is one of the way that I have done it, but there are 1,000 different ways. I would say you can create n number of KPIs, n number of columns. You can create different altogether storyboarding thought that you have in your mind. You can go ahead with your rows. So there's no restriction there. So and then we just once this is done for one data frame, the second one will be very similar to it. The only thing is we have to just instead of using the plant 1 gen, we have to use plant 2 gen. That's all, because both the data sets are same, not even similar, both are same. Just only difference is that is for plant 1 and the other one is for plant 2. So I guess this makes sense to you guys. Okay, let me jump directly to the ETL pipeline that we have in here. Okay, so we have something called example pipeline. So this is the entire dashboard. If you see, this is the dashboard that you can see here. So this is one of the example data set they are given for load Titanic, fill missing values, and export data Titanic. This is one of the example that they have given. We can go to edit pipelines, and then we can see, okay, we can see this is how the data look like for each of them. But for our case, we wanted to see if do we have any sort of pipeline here or not. Okay, we are not seeing any example pipelines here. So what we can do is let's create one. It's fine. That's very good because we can create everything from scratch. So we can go to new. We can create a standard batch data integration streaming from a template using AI beta. So just focus on the first one. We want to create a standard batch ETL template that will take E is extract, transform, and load. So this is how the interface is going to look like, and on the right hand side for this pane you will see entire operation that you are going to see in a flow, and on the left hand side you will going to load the data, export it, so all sort of transformation that you can think of. So on the click on loader, so data loader will help you to identify the sources. So as I have mentioned that you can create n number of sources. So in Python, if I see, I can have API, I can have Amazon Redshift, Amazon S3, Azure databases, data lake, blob, BigQuery, local file, SQL, Oracle DB, orchestration pipeline, Post, SQL, Snowflake. So I can have n number of the data sources that I want, but for me I wanted a local file. So this will be my one of the data loader. I can give a better name, let's say load plant one data. Okay, so this is one of the block that I have created for loading the file. And so if you see, all the template has been given here. So I just have to write this function. So I have to read those files, and then I have to if you see on the right hand side also, I got a loader file here. So this is the UI version of it, how the UI is going to look like with if you keep adding. So now if I add the transformation section, it will add an arrow below and add the transformation block. Same for data exporter. So I think I already have those scripts here. So okay, let me check. Okay, I think yeah, we have all the scripts. So I will show you what I am doing here. So if you see data loader plant one, so this is one. What I can do is I can control A and then just paste it there. Okay, so if you see here, what I have added, I just added a one line of code that I want to import pandas. I took the same function, I just took the CSV file. So this is the source path that I have provided, that I want to read the data from this file. Then this is the file name, this is the generation data, this is the sensor data, read both of them. And then instead of returning a data frame, I have to return a dictionary. So a dictionary will contain both the data sets, so df1 gen, df plant weather. So now I have all of them. So if I have to check whether this code runs or not, on the top if you click on this execute button, so this will execute this code and show whether what will be the output for this block. Let me go there and let me rename this. Okay, I think one of one test case has passed, which means that I am getting my data, because we have the test case also included. It's been loading here. Once that is done, we'll get our data sources here, all the output for both of the CSV files here. So once that is done, if you see it here, tick mark has been completed. It means I have successfully loaded those files. And the next piece is to add a transformer. So I wanted to do a transformation, let's say a simple transformation based on filtering the data. Filtering the data, whether the data that I already have is completed or not. So it's simple. If it's showing a lot of data, just click on this so that it will collapse the entire cell block, so that you don't have to see everything. You don't have to scroll everything. Now is the transformation block. So I want a Python and a generate template, that how do I want to transform my data. So the second is data transformation plant one. Let me rename the okay. Okay, let me check. Okay, yeah, we have this piece now. What we are doing here is, if you see, we are importing pandas again, nothing much. We got the output in a dictionary format. So we have jsn.load we are only taking plant1 gen data here, list of the data here, and then what we are doing is then second data we are taking it here and then converting into a data frame. So you can't return these. Sometime what happens is you have to when you are returning multiple values, you can't return 2 or 3 data frames all together. You have to return merging them together in form of dictionary. So now we are just deserializing the dictionary so that we can get our data frame. So and the other things are very same. So if you the same script, you remember this script, exactly the same thing that we are doing, just sorting it by date and all of thing, format, creating those KPIs, same thing, testing it out, and if everything works out it will give us a true. Till the time it loads, we can go and see the third one, that is data exporter. So here we can talk a little bit because this can be a tricky part, because if you see my data frame, one of test case passed, and if you see date, plant, source key, power, AC, DC, and everything I am returning after joining it. If you see, there is a join function, page.merge, so I am returning only one combined data frame. So now we have only one data frame for plant 1. So this is the entire operation that we are doing for plant 1. Same thing we can do for plant 2. We have to push the code, the table into our SQL table. So that's for now. What we will do is we'll collapse this also, data exporter, Python, and the other is, where is SQL? Yeah, MS SQL. Data exporter. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So now we have all the data. I know if I run this code, I will have errors, because I know why and where it is going to throw an error. Because if you see here, these are some of the modules that you have to import. You have to import PyODC, and I think that's all. So you have to create those tables inside your database. So DBO, plant1 table, and then you have to, so all the credentials that is for your MS SQL. So if I open my SQL server, the configuration is on whatever your username is, your password is, your host is, you have to give all of those detail into your YML file. So if you see here, if you okay, this config YML file. So if I go here and check for it, so here is the file. So if I double click and open it, so you have to mention all the credentials that you have it here. So if you see here, this is my server name, this is the login, and if password is, I think password, yeah, yeah. So if I go to databases and Mage AI, so tables, so if you see, there are 2 different tables that I have exported already. So if I show you top 1000 rows, and okay, so these are the top 1000 rows for our plant 1 and plant 2. So this is how the data look like. The only thing that you have to do is you configure your YAML file, because the credentials of, so going forward you have to put all the credentials, not hard code everything there, but you have to put the credential into this YAML file so that it can be fetched directly to the server. So what I can do is, I think I might have some of this. Okay, so I have a txt file, that connection that I pasted. So for me, so this can be a tricky for a lot of people. While I was also working on it, I also got confused for some of the time, but you have to use this one, MS SQL database, your name of the database, what is the schema, so there is no schema. This, what is the driver that you're using, so you have to mention this driver. What is the host name, so if it is locally installed, the host will be localhost. What is the password, what is the port that is running on, and what is the username. So if you are running in the cloud, that would be very different from what you are seeing it right now, because the username, password, everything will be very different. So you have to configure based on what your requirement is, where you want to put the data. And similarly for the source, it's exactly the same for source and sync. So just wanted to show you this thing, that this is MS SQL. So I have to go to this MS SQL and I have to just remove this piece, and instead of this piece I have to paste my details. So now if you see, my database's name is this, schema is this, what is the driver, what is the localhost, everything, and I have to just save it and then just close it. So anyways, I'm going to change all of those database and delete those database after this tutorial, so it's fine for me. I will just run it. If once I run this, if you see, MS SQL initialized, opening connection, and then exporting the data to this. So once this is done, it will write the data in my SQL server. So, and if there is condition also mentioned that if already exists, replace those data. So it will take a bit of time, but I think it won't take too much of time, because it's totally based on the number of rows of data that we have. So yeah, it is done. So if you see 28 second, and if I go and, because I already have data, because I cannot go and directly check, but I can create one more column there telling that what is the extracted date. But for now, let's go and see. Okay, so this is for table 1. Yeah, so if I run it again, I already have the data, so 1000 row affected, and it's fine for me. I already have data for everything. So the only thing that I have to do right now is, once I have the data, I can go ahead and do the same process for plant 2. So I think you guys can follow along with me if you want to, but same for plant 1 how I have done it, same case you have to do for plant 2. I don't think so I should be showing this plant 2 piece also in this video, but please go ahead and explore from your side how you can do, or I can just give you an example that you can change the direction here. So if I have, you can click on this and disconnect this thing, or I can change this thing and click on here. So this particular, if you see, this is coming out, so you can connect it to any other piece. So what you can do is, if your source is same, or what you can do is, you can parallelly create this 3 here, or you can create connecting after this thing. After, you can start creating a data loader again that will connect it here. Once this plant 1 data is loaded, then plant 2 data will start. So I think that would give the hint for how exactly you guys have to proceed. Once this is done, you are ready to go. Now I have let me just revisit it quickly. So we are done with setting up our environment. We are done with creating Mage AI project, doing data load, data transformation, and exporting it. So I would say almost all the pieces are done, and I think I didn't explain to you what exactly I'm doing in transformation, but it was self-explanatory that I am just creating those columns that I mentioned in my script already, that what all the columns that we can create. And this is something that is very specific to all of us, that if you want to have a certain business use case or other use case that you want to create, you can change it as per literally what you want. So I think that is all for this video. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and in the next video we'll create a Power BI connecting to our SQL server. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.